Welcome back. I'm in Mastermind and Teach Better Family. So glad you're joining us for this awesome recap with my good friend, Jeff Gargis. Good friend, yes. I said it, Jeff. It's on record.
Good friend. Good friend.
Great friend. Awesome friend. All right. Going too far. So I'm in Mastermind this morning, every Tuesday morning. And this month, also in the evening. Jeff, do you just want to let everyone know about what's coming up in the month of October moving forward?
Yeah, so we are up. Today is actually the last day that we were doing the evening option for the meeting. And the reason we did that is because August and September, the start of the year, is so crazy. We felt that we wanted to give you all an opportunity and give administrators an opportunity, two opportunities to jump in and be a part of the groups and attendant. And while we love doing both, and both had a lot of great conversations, the overwhelming feedback is that the morning one is easier for most to attend. It's where we get the most attendance. So we decided we'll pause on the evening ones for the time being, go back. And this is what we've been doing for the last almost 2 years now. It's just a morning session every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Eastern time. So starting next week on October 1st, it'll just be the morning one instead of the two. But we're excited about continuing that. This doesn't go away. The Facebook group is still there. Will always be there. So teachbetter.com/mastermind is where you go to get signed up for free. And that will give you the link for your weekly meeting on Zoom, but also give you the link to join the Facebook group, which is great for anyone who can't attend the meetings, or maybe doesn't feel comfortable attending meetings, or wants support or needs support, or wants to share value, or wants to celebrate something, whatever that might be, in between the meetings as well. So that's all really good stuff. So we're super excited about continuing this. The conversations have been really good
Really good.
since getting back to things here at the beginning of August. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah, I'll say, Jeff, like we don't even queue up any questions, topics. I mean, we're just asking, hey, does anyone have anything you want to collaborate on? And so far, I swear every week someone's got something. So, Jeff, do you mind just talking through the scenario that was brought up by one of our MM Mastermind folks?
Yeah, so we had two that were brought up today, and you and I were chatting just a little bit before. It was interesting because when we got into the second one, it really circled back around and was very well connected and basically became very similar to the first one. They both ended up really being around the idea of onboarding someone new to your school or your district. The first was brought up a new teacher, new to the district, veteran teacher though, in an elementary school, who has been struggling with classroom management, a lot of like just sort of combativeness between them and the students. And this member of the mastermind went down there because I think someone else had raised a little bit of concern and went and just stopped in to see what was going on and was very shocked by sort of the I guess I'm going to say it again, combativeness of this teacher with their students, and the sort of lack of not just classroom management skills, but seemed like almost a lack of the relationship as well, and therefore a lot of frustration and struggling with that, and didn't seem to have a lot of like the necessarily self awareness to realize that they needed to adjust things. So the group really got to work on this one, like ton of ideas thrown out and quotes and books, stuff like that, and sharing, and then and we'll get into that, like some of the things, because they actually work for both in a really sense. Because the second scenario was uh, a principal sharing that they had a new school nurse come in who they think is great, had great qualifications, really excited about him, but this nurse is struggling with the transition. They had spent years in the hospital, and obviously the hospital and a school is very different. It's a very different role, very different things. There's different rules and regulations, systems, all that type of stuff. And this nurse seems to be really struggling with the transition and settling in, and that's caused some efficiency issues, but also a little bit of headbutting, not too bad. And with both of these, there was a few things that came out, Josh, and I think we can just kind of like go back and forth and talk about them now. That came out of like things that you have to of ways to approach it. And sort of the overview of it is you got to go meet them where they're at, whatever that means, right? Uh, you can't go in there and start beating down and pointing out all the different things that a teacher's doing wrong in their classroom or that you think that they should change, but rather you need to chunk it out into let's focus on the things that we can fix, make help them to realize what power they like, what they do have the power to control versus what they might not be able to. With the classroom teacher, the group talked about sort of breaking the classroom up into chunks, right? The first 5 minutes, and how do you get students settled in and set goals for the class period and get them working, versus the meat of the work and the instruction part, versus, and then broke it up into like the last few minutes of how do you end up and wrap up your class and end it to have a good day tomorrow, and then the transitional periods and stuff. With the nurse situation, it was the same sort of same, breaking down the role in general. Don't attack all of it at once. Don't try and change everything all at once, but figure out what are the pieces that are causing the biggest issues and attack those first by helping them. And Chad brought up one of his favorite quotes, which is be curious, not judgmental. And that was another big thing from the group is, hey, you need to dig in and figure out why are they actually struggling? Why is this veteran teacher struggling to deal with elementary kids when they've been teaching elementary kids their entire career? And thinking about, okay, well, where did they come from? Maybe they didn't have these types of issues with that. Maybe the kids are just different in the way they behave, or the way that they build relationships, or what they look for from the teachers. Maybe the expectations aren't set quite right because they didn't have the same structure somewhere else. Someone mentioned maybe they just have a very traditional way of teaching in this particular school that we were talking about, very progressive. So getting to understand why that person might be struggling. Same thing with the nurse, which was, uh, understand, like, what are they struggling with? Well, they're coming from a very different background, a very different structure and stuff. So I think that was a point one. And then the other one, Josh, and I'm going to let you say words, was breaking down into things. Oh, and then asking questions like that, right? Be curious, not judgmental. And then asking them point blank, hey, how can I better serve you? What can I do, or what can we as a leadership team do better to support you with XYZ? And then listening to them and stuff too. I have other things I can pull out, but I want to hear your thoughts on this, because like you and Chad, I loved, the whole group brought a lot to this, but I felt like you and Chad jumped in a few different times with some really great points that I'm not asking you to remember them all right now, because obviously you were just going off from there. But obviously, as an administrator who has dealt with bringing in new teachers and and things of that nature, dealt with working with nurses and bringing them and the importance that they bring to your school, some of your thoughts on these scenarios as well would be awesome.
Yeah, so I've had experience with both, like you said, specifically the one with the teacher. This was a veteran teacher, and what I loved about the collaboration sessions that we do with this Havman Mastermind group is that you can actually see in real time people actually thinking through not only suggestions but kind of the questions that are being asked of them
Yeah.
too, and the reflection process that occurs. And this person was like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense. Now that I'm thinking about it, actually some communication occurred before the students even arrived that this was going to be a tough group for them,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe there's some perceptions already created prior to them even entering the building and starting the school year.
Good point. Yeah.
Maybe we should communicate that in a different way. And and then someone else was brought in saying, there's obviously some emotions behind the behavior, similar to what you're saying, Jeff, right? So maybe fear of the unknown, or fear that a behavior is going to escalate to something where they don't have the skills to then combat that in the classroom. And so how as a coach can we start to dig into the reasoning behind the actions and the behavior from the teachers. So I love the suggestions. All of those are great things. What I was talking through was just more about the control piece, right? Teachers love having control of their classroom, of their students, curriculum, grading, the whole nine yards. So, for them, they need to start thinking in that line of what do they have control over? And obviously, they can't control every child's behavior. So, what are some strategies and tactics can we put in their tool belt for them to feel comfortable in that situation, so they're not, you know getting angry at the kids or yelling or calling them out in front of their peers, some of the things that might escalate the behaviors in the classroom versus de-escalating them and being proactive. So I think there's a lot of coaching things that can come of this, of just purely asking some questions to get to the bottom of what's really going on, specifically with the emotions of the teacher, or maybe a lack of skills, like you said, because this is a progressive campus, and so they may not feel similar to their peers or similar to the value system of the administrative staff or the district. So there's some things I think that needs to be uncovered, and we don't truly know what's behind the actions. But I think the person that brought the scenario was feeling much better about
Oh
what's
yeah,
going
100%.
forward, and Chad was on fire.
That was on
he
fire
was
today.
he
Yes,
was yeah, he was
he was
awesome.
in this.
And then
But yeah, I think I want to touch on two things. One was just your note of like that this person left feeling great, which is what I love most about our masterminds.
yes,
is when I think I said it today. I said, I love when the group does what the group's supposed to do, which is someone came with the issue and they left feeling good about this issue that they came in feeling up about. I also want to know, like, so I take notes, so if you're watching and I'm looking over this way, it's I'm looking at another screen. I have notes. And one of the
Yes.
notes that I have here, I forgot, was I actually grabbed I copied, I'm pretty sure Chad put this in the chat, and it says gold nugget, quote, focus on
Oh,
the power they do have, not the power they don't, end quote. Credit Joshua Stamper. So, and you were just touching on the power, right? So that was super important.
yeah.
And as you mentioned, um, you also talked about sort of the giving them advice and sort of throwing ideas at them and helping them see opportunities that they have, like things that they can put in place. We talked about one focusing on that one thing, not all of them, and going from there. We also talked about um, talking to them and being direct, getting to this very quickly. It's got to be quick. We got to get in there and having a conversation with the teacher of saying, like, hey, what can we as the adults, you and
Hmm.
me, or you, me, and the rest of our leadership team, and being the professionals, do to improve these outcomes? And be very careful. And I think it was Chad actually said to, like, set the guardrails of, we're not going to talk about what the students need to do or what the students don't do or what the students
Yes.
can't do or what the students won't do or anything like that. We're only going to focus right now on what we can do and what can we do, and let's put those things in place first. Moving to the nurse specific one of the conversations was this nurse was going to reaching out to the other nurses in the other buildings, which is a good thing that they feel comfortable enough to, that they have that outlet. The issue that was coming is that the different buildings do have different systems and different things. They're dealing with different age students and stuff. And one of the recommendations was for this principal to reach out to those other nurses and, one, thank them for being a support line
Yep.
and tell them how awesome they are, but also ask, what has this person brought to you, and how do you think I can better support them from your viewpoint of someone who they obviously feel comfortable confiding in, but also who is in their role in another building. And let me understand how you all do things so that I can share how we do things, and then I can help this person out. And I think if you really think about it, it boils down to focus on what they can control, take it a little bit at a time, ask questions to understand what's happening, and then figure out and ask them, how can I better support you? Which,
Yep.
honestly, Josh, I think in a leadership role anywhere is the most powerful thing and the most effective you can do at like 9 out of 10 times when there's issues. Ask, hey, how can I help you fix XYZ or do ABC or whatever? Like, how can I help you? Because then that person's going to tell you, and you don't have to spend the time wondering, questioning, assuming, stressing.
Hmm.
So I think that was a big takeaway from this one as well.
Oh, for sure. And just with the onboarding process, someone brought up toward the end, just, hey, I have a scheduled time. It's 30 minutes to an hour with the person that is new to the campus. It's an important position. We touch base every single week. And you know what? You're going to spend time with that person if you want to or not. If they're new, they're going to be asking questions, and that could be an email. They'll come down to the office in the most, terrible time of the day
So
when it's
schedule it.
crazy. So schedule it because it's going to make everyone's life
Yeah.
easier. And then you can have those questions. You're building the relationship. You're getting to know them as a person, and obviously what they're doing professionally. But like for the nurse, we had a sub nurse, and we did that every week. We check in with her, and we
Hmm.
would have of things that, hey, we really appreciate X, Y, and Z this week. You did a great job in these areas. And then there
Yep.
was maybe something else like, hey, you took your lunch when it was the lunch for the kids when they come down to get their medication for the rest of their day. You can't take lunch at that time. It could have been a lot of different examples of like, we understand what you're trying to do. However, we just need you to modify it to be there for the needs of our
Yeah.
kids. And when they're coming from a hospital setting, obviously that's very different. A lot of different rules, a lot of different
Hmm.
procedures there. And when you're coming into a school, obviously, they're struggling. They want to do their best, but sometimes it's just they don't know. And so if you have that
Yeah.
scheduled time, you can bring to the table and at least give them a little bit of some guidance there so that they can be successful moving forward.
Yeah. No, it was great. Another great week of conversation, and excited about continuing it, man. I think it's going to continue with
Yeah.
the momentum we have. So if you have not joined us and are not there, teachbetter.com/mastermind gets you the link to join us on Tuesday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time if you want to, or it also or gets you into the Facebook group, which is free and allows you to
Yep.
also interact in there. You do not have to come to the meetings in order to be in the Facebook group. We understand you can't always come to the meetings, or you may not ever be able to come to meetings. You can also come to one and then not come to one for 6 months. You can only come when you have a problem. There are real no rules here,
Yep.
except for that when we come to Mastermind, we're there to help each other as well as hopefully get help if we need it. So you're more than welcome. Come and just hang out and listen. We have people that just come and listen, don't turn on the
Mhm.
camera. They just want to listen to the conversation because they feel comfortable listening or they learn from it. We have people that come and love sharing resources and
Yep.
love sharing advice. And we have some people that come that bring the issues. So whatever it is, there's no real expectation or rules of that. Just, come ready to help if you can. So I think that's all, Josh. I think we're wrapped for this week. What do you think? Good?
I'm
Wrapped for
I'm
September, man.
I'm wrapped for September,
It's
first month
October
down.
next week.
I know we're moving into the fall. I need the weather to get cold. I need my Christmas tree
I
up.
need to
I'm
get
ready to
some
rock.
pumpkins. You gotta get pumpkins first, man. Don't get your tree up. We need pumpkins first. I got pumpkins and ghost and things to put out on my house. Like I gotta
Trying to
buy some
slip that in so you
candy.
wouldn't catch it, Jeff.
I I heard you. I guarantee there's a few people that will listen to this and get super excited. He's like, "Oh, Josh said I can do it. It's going up tomorrow."
For those
Josh
people,
gave me permission.
I gave you permission. Do what you need to do. All right,
With
I'll see
that,
you next week.
yeah. See you.